people used to find out that I knew Lucky as a kid and kind of grew up with Lucky, a really young drummer, learning from this guy named Joseph Lucky Scott. And I would have bass players find me on the internet and call me.
What was it like?
And what was it like to play with Lucky? And ask me what was he using to get that sound for such and such.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, dude, I do not know. First off, I wouldn't have known because I was a little kid. But I used to actually see when Lucky was out in public playing bass, there would be times when he would get into certain sections in songs and he would turn away.
So people couldn't see him.
From the audience because he didn't want other bass players to see what he was doing.
This is the Rich Redmond Show.
You know, songs are like a relationship. A song's like a woman. If you're in a really good relationship with a woman, you can't tell her what you want her to be. You can't force her to be what you want her to be. You can respond to her. You can try to interpret what she says back to her. I think I hear you saying this, yada, 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 yada. You can try to kind of match her timbre, her mood or whatever. But the best thing that you can do, honestly, is listen. And don't ever try to force yourself on a song. The song will tell you what it wants to be.
Nice.
And I've taken that with me, not just with music, with everything.
So just open yourself up to the universe, and the universe will tell you. It'll lead you.
Just be honest.
That's how the marketplace is. But I got a question for you, and it's a very heavy question. Okay.
Oh.
If peanut butter wasn't called peanut butter, what would it be called?
It'd be nut butter.
Nut butter?
Pea butter. You
can make butter out of peanuts?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know how they actually do that? You ever make your own peanut butter?
Oh, it's exhausting.
No, it's not.
Well, you can do it at Trader Joe's. You pour the things and you get and you know.
Just get a food processor and some peanuts. That's all you need.
Yeah, and it's super fresh.
It's fresh and amazing.
Wow.
Put it on some bread, and now we're into the podcast.
See, this is what happens. Jim is very much trying to trick us into, you know, it's all the latest and greatest stuff in podcasting.
Yeah.
Now,
but here we are.
Here we are having a great conversation with our friend Gerald Ware. Now, let me tell you about Gerald. We met in 2012. This is 13 years ago at a place called the Rutledge. That place, of course, Progress in Nashville. I think it's a Mexican restaurant. It's a hotel. It's something.
Something like that.
But anyways, it was a great night. I think I was playing with Rich Eckhart. Rich was the guitar player for Toby Keith for a long, long time. But he put out this kind of like solo fusion project. And then after the show, I meet this very nice young man who is also a musician, a consultant, a social scientist, a researcher, a life and career coach, a speaker, and a proud U.S. Navy submarine veteran. Yes. Hailing from Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is our friend Gerald Ware. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, dude. It's an honor. I almost feel somewhat unqualified to sit here.
No, but the thing is I said
a lot more. I'm far less qualified than anybody that's sat here.
Well, the common thing is that we all have a love of music, drumming, rhythm. Also, you know, we talk over the years about success and motivation and why we do things and what inspires people. And you probably will be the only drummer we ever have on this show that has a PhD.
Wow.
So I thought it would make for an interesting conversation because you're a very evolved human that has got a lot of depth and interests. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Because so drummers are, you know, the drummer joke, you know, how do you know when the stage is level? We all know that one. Get ready with the splash cymbal, Jim. The stage is even. That is when the drummer drools out of both sides of his mouth.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never heard that, but... Okay.
But I mean, originally you're from Detroit, but you kind of grew up in Chattanooga. You still live in Chattanooga. Keep a place in Nashville. So smart. And I met you as a drummer. And then as the onion got peeled, I realized that you did all these other things. And over the years, you'd reach out to me. You're like, hey, would you answer this questionnaire for my paper? And I'd be like, this is great. Somebody who cares about what I think about for an academic paper.
Well, but you were always gracious enough to answer the phone. And honestly, you know, sometimes you can tell what you're getting when you first meet somebody.
Yeah.
Honestly, full disclosure, that night when we met at the Rutledge, that was literally the first night I was in Nashville.
That is cool. That was a great kind of watering hole, you know, networking opportunity for a first night in town. Because some people could just find themselves at, I'm at Tootsie's. I heard about it. I get it.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, that was a cool room.
Yeah. Sean O'Brien, who actually played bass with you guys that night.
Yeah.
I knew him from high school, but that was actually the first night I was actually out in Nashville. But my point in saying this is when you meet somebody, you can tell sometimes if there's more to them than just what you see.
Yeah.
And not trying to be over flattering here, but honestly, dude, that was pretty. I mean, it wasn't hard to see that you were that kind of person.
Oh man!
And then the more I learned about you and just kind of what you did and how you did it, it pretty much was what I thought it was.
Oh, right.
You know what's
man.
great is
Nice.
that like the
Thank you.
last probably 10 guests that we've had on have sang your praises.
Oh, that's
I
great.
love that.
Well, people love to hear their name. People love to tell their
If
stories.
you listen to his humility.
I mean, people love to tell stories about.
I had a big clinic at Forks and I packed the house. I didn't anticipate that.
Oh, shucks.
Shucks.
Well,
Wow.
It's not hard to pack out. I mean, there's not a lot. Of,
would you
there's not a lot
already?
of seating room.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't pack out.
I don't think anybody's going to come see Jim McCarthy's drum clinic at Forks, buddy. Okay?
I think
Not a lot of guys can do that.
I think after everyone sees you at May 28th with the Huey Lewis Tribute Band at City Winery, they're going to come see you.
HueyTribute.com.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Cigarette lighter in hand.
Nice.
Ba-boom.
That's right.
I'll keep the fires burning.
Yeah.
Boom, God, boom, God.
Hey, Boomgok buys you houses, right?
It does.
So this bass player was, Joseph Scott, Joseph Lucky. Why'd they call him Lucky?
I never asked him that,
Yeah.
and it was always interesting that he would do that. But that
Nicknames
was
are
his
great.
name. That was his nickname. But I don't know. It was one of those things where here's this guy who's from Chattanooga playing in Curtis Mayfield's band. As a matter of fact, if you want to see what he looked like, because he's passed away now, go look up the movie Superfly.
He's in Superfly.
The band that's Curtis Mayfield's band.
Yep.
That's Joseph Lucky Scott playing bass. Dude, people used to find out that I knew Lucky as a kid and kind of grew up with Lucky, and a really young drummer, learning from this guy named Joseph Lucky Scott. And I would have bass players find me on the internet and call me.
What was it like?
And what was it like to play with Lucky? And ask me what was he using to get that sound for such and such.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, dude, I do not know. First off, I wouldn't have known because I was a little kid, but I used to actually see when Lucky was out in public playing bass, there would be times when he would get into certain sections in songs and he would turn away
so people couldn't see him
from the audience because he didn't want other bass players to see what he was doing.
Didn't Eddie do that in the early days?
Yeah.
Didn't Eddie Van Halen do that in the early days? Or somebody would turn their back to the audience so they couldn't see.
I don't know. I thought Eddie he kind of had like the showmanship was kind of baked into himself.
It could have been Stevie Vai. It could have been. Well, I heard that story, but we were talking off camera, and so you were lucky enough to get some like musical coaching as a very young person with this bass player.
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he said that the best thing that you can learn and really just kind of take to heart about music. It doesn't matter what instrument you play, if you sing, if you play whatever it is make sure you understand that it's a relationship. Specifically, in a lot of ways. I mean, you're having a relationship with the tech guys. You're having a relationship with the other guys on the stage. You're having a relationship with
the audience,
the production guys. Yeah. But really important, you're having a relationship with the audience because you want to make that connection.
Right.
That's pretty much to a large degree why you're doing it because you want to connect with people. But you need to know that the most important relationship is the relationship you're having with the song and how to handle it, how to treat it. You don't abuse it. You don't tell it what you want it to be. You don't force yourself on it. In a lot of ways, a lot of cases, the song tells you what it wants to be. I'm like anybody else, dude. I can have a pretty large ego, and I want to come in. I want to do Gerald on this thing, dude. But you can't always do that.
Yeah.
So you got to find a place to where, what does the song want? What does this gig need? And you humble yourself and you do it. But that song is honestly, it's like a woman or a man or whatever but you have
whatever
to
you're
honor
into.
it. Yeah, you have to honor it.
Yeah.
And not force yourself on it. That the song, especially if it's a great tune, it'll tell you what it wants to be.
Yeah.
It'll tell you what it is.
Well, you're a great all-around player. You recently sent me a video of you playing a song called Peace Accord. And man, you got it all, that popping and cracking snare, that backbeat, the power, the chops, musicality, all the stuff, man,
Thank you. Well, I sent that to you. I sent that to a lot of people, actually. Sometimes I'll just send a song to people that I like. And sometimes it's not even really a fully formed idea, but you try to have the production there. But not too much, not trying to go overboard with the production, but you send things that you like to people because this is something from your heart. It's not something that you're trying to sell per se.
Yeah.
But again, man, everything that we do, especially as musicians or any other field for that matter, it's people. You know, we want to make those connections. We want to remake those connections.
Yeah.
And so you send it out there. You just put it out there, man. And you believe in it. And sometimes it has warts and sometimes it's a little more polished than others, but you just want to share it.
That's nice. And is that your home studio here in Nashville?
It is. It is.
Nice.
It is. Well, it's my home studio in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
I don't have the room
Here.
here. But yeah, it's my home studio in Chattanooga. Yeah.
Nice. I like that you're kind of bi-coastal, man. You guys are living in two cities, man, you know?
My wife is very gracious.
That is awesome. Well, how long you crazy kids been together and how did you meet?
I'm going to date myself a little bit here, dude. We've been married 25 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we actually met at church. My sister knew her before I did. And they're probably not going to remember this, but my sister was like, hey, you know, there's someone I'd really like for you to meet. And I've always been that dude that I don't like being set up. I don't like the setup. And I resisted it for a while. And then somehow, some way, we just kind of got into contact with each other. And I didn't call her for like 3 months or so.
Yeah.
And then one day I did. And then here we are, 25 years
Why'd you call
later.
her, though? Why'd you call her?
Yeah.
I saw her again, and maybe I was just in a different place, but I think maybe my eyes were just working differently that day. Not that I didn't think she was beautiful when I first saw her.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't at a place where I was going to be, where I was receptive. And so
Yeah.
I saw her again, and I was like, oh.
Was there something
okay.
about her that made you like, you know, I have a feeling about this?
Yeah, and it's going to sound kind of weird, but I mean, I was like any other single young dude. You date around, you do what, you know, you do your thing or whatever. But I really, from my wife, I really just got woman from her. If that makes, I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes total
Just-
sense.
Yeah, but she just, this is a woman.
Through and through.
Yeah, through
Yep.
and through. This is a woman.
It's exactly how I felt about my wife.
Awesome. So I'm
Amazing.
not alone in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, you just, for me, very frightening.
Yeah.
Very frightening at first because you're not in control.
Yep.
You're not
Yeah.
in control, and you're just kind of following yourself down this trail. But yeah, 25 years, she's never come into conflict with me in music or me in anything else. She knows she's first, but music does have a special place
Yeah.
in my
And then
life.
kids, did you guys make the babies?
We two sons and a daughter.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a daughter who's actually graduating from high school this year. She's going off to college, so we'll be officially empty nesters.
Yeah.
And we can do some things that we like to do. I'd like to say I'd like to spend more money on myself in my studio, but
Well,
not,
what's
not
like
until we get college over.
travel or anything? Yeah. Like I'm curious because I'm kind of getting there myself.
I've traveled around a lot. My wife, not so much.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of places I like to take her that she's never been. So traveling is definitely one of
What
them.
are some of those bucket list places? Like, are we talking like we're going Madagascar or something
Man,
like?
you know, Fiji would be wonderful. Italy's it's gonna happen this summer.
You gotta have it.
Italy's gonna happen this summer.
Are you guys gonna do Rome and all the stuff? or-
We talked about doing the grand tour, but to do the grand tour right, you really need a couple of months. And I don't think that's going to happen. But, you know, my daughter's going to study architecture as well.
Ah.
So it's going to be great to kind of go around and see some of the churches and just some of those really, really old places that everybody sees on
How
TV.
did they
but
do that stuff without machinery?
the human mind, dude, is... I mean, just like Jurassic Park, you probably heard this before. Life finds a way. Life will find a way.
Or it's aliens.
Or it's aliens. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's right.
But life will find a way. But so we're going to do some of that stuff and just check some stuff off the list and just travel around, dude, and
Nice.
just enjoy each other. Because it's a new chapter in our life. We literally were pregnant 3 months after we said I do. So we basically have had no life
Yeah.
without kids.
But that's
Wow.
kind of so. I mean, I always equate that to those kids that we felt bad for in high school who, like, you know, all of a sudden they're 17, 18 and she's pregnant, you know, and they're like, oh my gosh, your life is ruined and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they just kind of get married. They forge their way through it. And by the time they're in their 40s, they're done and they have resources.
Yeah.
So
And you're
Jim is saying it could be a young person's game because
Right.
you have the energy.
Right, you have the energy and you got the
Which is true,
resources.
which is true.
Yeah.
Parenting takes a lot of energy, physically, emotionally, mentally. It does.
I really don't know how you guys do it. Jim laughs at me because I always say, yeah, you know, I never did it. I never did it. I never did it.
The funny thing is that you
And now it's kind of late.
You mentioned Rich in the beginning that he took your phone calls. which is the same story for me. He just kept on taking my phone calls. And one time, I think, texted you, we were about to have our second child. And I reached out to Rich via text. I'm like, hey, Courtney can drop at any moment. Do you mind if we have you on the list to watch Cammie? Cammie at the time was like 16, 17 months old.
Wow.
And he's like, did I call you with that?
I mean,
or
that's
did I
crazy.
text
Now
you?
she's in college.
I know. But the funny thing is, you were willing to do it.
Oh, see?
And the fact that you not only
knew him,
but not only is it wonderful that you would call. Well, like I said, sometimes you just know a good apple when you meet him.
Yeah.
But the fact that not only would he take your calls, being the guy that he is, but him being the kind of guy that you would trust enough to call. Will you take my little baby?
Yeah.
While I go do this, I mean, it speaks volumes.
I was totally messing.
I mean, I'm afraid of the soft spot on the skull. You know, I mean, that scares
I was
me to
totally
death.
messing with him. I just wanted to see how he'd react.
What he would do.
I literally, it was a call.
Did
I
I say
remember
sure?
you were literally like, I probably could. I don't have too much going on. And I'm like, dude, I'm totally messing with you right now.
Wow.
I said, I am not serious.
Wow.
You were trying to find,
Wow.
you were thinking, can I accommodate this? I probably can. Yeah. I should.
Wow.
Amazing.
I didn't intend for him. I barely knew you a year at that point.
Oh man. Yeah,
But it's okay. It's okay.
we're still friends all these years later.
Yeah, I think you could have pulled it off though.
Let's make him really uncomfortable this episode and just talk nothing about Rich and like completely pour it on.
The world is Rich's.
The world is Rich's.
Rich's world.
I'm telling you what. So you studied architecture.
I did.
And it runs in the blood.
Well, maybe not. I told her that, if at any time, if you decide you don't want to do this, walk away from it.
Yeah.
Because it is, and I'm not saying this because I studied architecture. It is a very labor intensive degree.
All nights.
Because there,
Long
a lot
nights.
of all nighters. There's a lot of things you have to know or you have to learn, because it's not just can you draw well. It's how does this wall stand?
Structural.
Do you understand deflection? Do you understand moment? It's engineering. Do you understand compression? And then how do you make that look good? And while at the same time, don't spend too much of the client's money. And
Yeah.
so it can be a haul. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because when you get you got these cookie cutter neighborhoods now where there's maybe 3 designs and they'll put up 200 homes.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's called Spring Hill.
Does this home builder come in and they hire a staff architect to design those 3 buildings?
Developers are a little different. Developers generally do those. They just, again, it's and there's nothing wrong with this. Everybody's in the business to make money. And variety sometimes doesn't offer itself very well to creativity, or the lack of variety doesn't offer itself very well to creativity. And so a developer, you want to make as much money as you can. So you have these basic formats, these basic floor plans that you have. Of course, you massage them a little bit. You give people the notion that they can make some choices about what they're getting. And in truth, that is the case. I mean, you get to pick your finishes, you get to pick your doorknobs, you get to pick your
gold or
faucets.
silver. Yeah.
You get to pick how much you want to spend on this, how much you spend on that. But it's still basically the same general 2 or 3 formats as far as what you're going to get as far as floor plan. And that has its place.
Yeah.
That does. But you get some of these guys who get to design houses from the ground up, or get to design commercial buildings from the ground up. Those people do exist. But there's a lot of risk in that too.
Yeah.
Even just because somebody has deep pockets and they have money to burn, that could be more of a hassle than working with someone who knows they have a limited budget. They can only do so much. I don't care if the house is $2 million and they know that that's all they have. For a lot of people, $2 million home would be amazing, but they know all they have is $2 million. The client sometimes they say, do whatever you want. Yeah. It could be a crap show. I mean, because honestly, they're not making any decisions. They're not telling you what to do, and you don't know. And then the worst thing is they come in. I was thinking that maybe that should be over there, or maybe those stairs shouldn't wrap around to the right. They should wrap around to the left.
The less money you spend, the more illusion of choice you have. It's like buying a Honda.
It's
right?
all an illusion.
It's an illusion. You got a couple of things you can do here. You can buy an LX, an EX, an EXL. Yeah, you can have some choices, but it's like I equate that to I sold Honda or cars for a couple of years. When I went from Honda to Mercedes, it was like, this little cone of options with Honda. You knew the trim levels, what you could generally get with them. Yeah. To Mercedes, it was like wide open with options. Yeah. Because you're paying more for the car.
Well, and music can be the same way, honestly. I mean, if you're working with an MD or you're working with an artist, for me, I can't speak for any other drummer, any other musician. A lot of times, if I'm not given parameters, and I say this because another type of person I love is comedians before actors, but I really love actors because, and I heard Bill Murray say this before, he knows that he's got a part nailed when he can feel it in his feet.
Interesting.
Yes. Judi Dench is a great actor.
What do they mean by that?
Judi Dench is still hot.
Well, but I'm gonna tell you what I think. Oh my God. Well, no, I think so too, because creativity and there's a lot of things that makes beauty.
She's comfortable in her skin.
Okay. Dude, anybody can be beautiful, dude. Attraction is a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Okay, Helen Mirren.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of Helen Mirren when I'm talking about Judi Dench.
Helen Mirren's on 1923 right now with Harrison Ford.
She's so comfortable in her skin, man.
She does that.
She is.
She does that Scottish Irish accent perfectly.
She does.
Yeah.
But the point I was making is parameters for me are always great because I need to know a little bit about what you're thinking to give you what I think you want. But there's this thing in architecture also where you spend a lot of time educating the client. Because it was always irritating when somebody showed up and they had a picture. Hey, can you guys do this? Yeah, but no. Tell me what you really think you want, what you really need, and then we'll talk about how we can get to point A to point B. Where music a lot of times is the same way. I need that MD. I need that producer. I need that guy.
To give you
to give me some parameters to work in. Yeah, to give me some parameters to work in.
So you can create your little Mona Lisa.
Acid jazz is great. But, having parameters sometimes is really great. So anytime, anybody I think that's creative, not everybody works this way. I do creatively. Parameters are good, whether it's architecture, music, whatever.
I love it. We never discussed that. So who are some comedians that just blow you away? Like are you like a Bill Burr guy, or are you like more Mark Maron, like storytelling?
I can be situational, and I'm not going to mention this person first because they're my favorite. It's just a good example. So Dave Chappelle started out a certain way.
Come on,
he started out a certain way as a certain kind of comedian.
Yeah,
and then he went away for a while. Yeah, and then he came back and he was a different kind of comedian. And I think he's still kind of evolving. How
about those 4 specials on Netflix? You could watch them back to back over and over again. And we in our band, after a show, we will watch these things over and over again, and it still resonates, and we still laugh at the same spots.
Yes, because it just depends on where you are that day. But and I think he's still kind of evolving.
He's kind of like a modern day George Carlin, commenting on society.
Yeah, commenting on society.
Yes.
But I also love people like, I'm going to butcher this name. She's going to have to forgive me because I don't know her, but that's okay anyway. Natasha Leggero.
Love her. Short little Italian girl. She was in the, Dice Clay's show. He had a show called Dice.
Yeah.
She's so cute. Oh my God.
Another Period. It was a TV show. I don't know. It's just something about that kind of stuff that I love. But I love musicians, not musicians. I'm sorry. I love musicians that are really courageous too. But comics are really courageous. I was
going to say that. They're so brave.
They go up there and they've worked their thing out, maybe kind of, sort of, but they kind of know what they want to do, what they want to say. But you have to have a lot of bravery to go up there. And again, we used this word earlier, really be honest.
Yeah.
And be in that moment honest.
Yeah.
But I think the same way about actors. There are a lot of actors that I could point to that are they're just incredible.
Who do you think is the best one out there these days? So
I'm that guy when it comes to movies, or just acting in general. Not that mainstream is wrong or there's anything wrong with mainstream.
You like art films?
Well, not so much arty films, but there's 2 movies that I could watch all the time and nobody would ever have to do anything else for me movie wise. One is There Will Be Blood.
Oh yeah.
And and they're kind of similar movies. The other one is No Country for Old Men. I mean, it's just they're just raw. The casting is spot on, and just the way. I mean, again, any actor that can change themselves into this person.
That's believable.
The way they walk, the way they change their voice. They literally can change their countenance and they become this character.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's something to so be admired. And, you know, when I was studying, I knew that I was never going to wear a wig and do period pieces and do Shakespeare.
Oh, that would be utterly hilarious.
I wanted to do parts that were an extension of my natural essence.
Can you do a British accent, Rich?
I wouldn't do it because I'd
Well, attempt it right here and now.
a spot of tea.
Keep going.
There's a spot of tea.
Can you? Okay, you keep on saying the same thing over and over again. Can you converse?
That's all you really need to be able to say, though, as a
You
Brit.
got to be able to say like Ringo. You know, you just got to talk like Ringo.
Well, that's a Cockney. That's a
on.
Liverpool.
Come upstairs and we'll young you up a bit. Ringo's got a thing about making sure everybody in his band's got a dyed hair, no belly,
Really?
and where's John Varvatos?
Wow.
Hey, he come upstairs, we'll young you up a bit.
Young you up a bit. Come on.
Yeah.
What do you think out there, the old?
That's awesome. Wow. Never
That's
knew that.
funny.
No, but so when you were studying architecture, you were drumming at the same time. Now, did you do architecture professionally for a while?
Yeah, for a while I did.
Wow.
Yeah, for a while
and
I
then
did.
how are you managing all the drumming during this?
So there were some guys that I met because I went to architecture school after I got out of the Navy. And there were some guys that I met literally at this music store in Knoxville. It's called Rick's Music.
Okay.
And I went in just to buy some drumsticks, and I just decided I'm gonna sit down on this kit.
Is it still there?
No.
No.
And I'm gonna sit down on this kit, and I'm just playing around on this kit. So these two guys approach me and like, dude, what are you doing later? Can we talk about playing some music? Yada yada yada.
Are you free tonight?
Yeah, are you free tonight? So anyway, it turns into this band.
Yeah.
That was called Dishwater Blonde.
Oh, yeah.
And excuse me, we had some really good times, shared the stage with a lot of different people. Just very varied, dude. Everybody from the Crab Family to Arrested Development to Israel and New Breed to Victor Wooten to.
Well, what was the music like? Was it?
It was like, and I always struggle to describe it. It was like, what's that band out of LA?
Is it jam band?
No, it's a Christian rock band. POD. It's like POD mixed with James Brown mixed with the Chili Peppers
It was
mixed
funky,
with funky, rocky,
rock
folky,
with Christian overtones.
Well, not so much in your face.
Yeah.
But it was just us having a great time. So I was having to mix all, dude. We would go out on the weekends and do our road thing and come back on no sleep.
Hell yeah.
and then I'm at a drafting desk. I mean, just like most musicians, just burning the candle at both ends and just because you love it. I mean, it wasn't even really an option. You didn't even think about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you just did it. So I mean, because I was a little younger at the time, and my wife was a lot more understanding then than she is now, in a different way. Not that she's not as understanding now,
Well,
but just in a
you
different
leave
way.
on a Wednesday, come back on a Sunday.
Yeah,
kind of thing, right?
Sometimes you leave on a Wednesday, you come back on a Sunday, and that was like constant.
Yep.
But you loved it. I mean, in a passenger van pulling a trailer behind you, and is the back line going to be crappy when we get there? Are we going to have to use the back line? Whatever.
Hey kid, we got a CB700 kit. You like hydraulic heads?
Wait, you want heads on them?
Oh
Really?
God, there's head. Well,
It's the proverbial picture, dude. Here's the house kit, and it's just it's even worse than the house kit photo when you get there.
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, crazy.
camber cymbals.
Do you like adjustable snare drum stands that adjust on their own volition?
That adjust on their own volition. Yeah.
Hey, and thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
So right out of high school, you're going join the Navy.
Well, actually, I went to business school first. Then I went to Navy, and then I went to architecture.
Oh man,
Were you in Mystic?
No.
what was your Navy experience like? And I tell you what, I think this is crazy to say, but there's a lot of countries around the world where military service is required for 2 years. Yeah. I think it would be good for some of these entitled young whippersnappers.
I think that would be awesome. I talk about this all the time with people. I don't think a couple of years of compulsory active duty service would be a bad thing for a lot of people. I mean, I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think it'd be a great thing.
Because you're only 20 when you get out, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there was a lot the military taught me. I thought I had some things together. Yeah. And I was okay because I'd always been a self-starter. I was always the kind of person who didn't need a lot of outside motivation to do things.
Yeah.
But there were some things that the military taught me, especially the way I served, which I'm really proud of. Submarine life is not like surface Navy life. It's
it's a lot more claustrophobic.
It is, but it's hard to explain to people.
How long are you down there?
It depends on the mission.
Yeah.
How was it a nuclear powered sub?
They're all nukes now.
They're all nukes. And how many guys were on the boat with you?
The crew could be anywhere from 100 to 120. It just depended. Different departments.
Yeah.
Of course, you had strategic guys, you had tactical guys, you had navigation guys, engineering guys. You had people who knew certain things about certain things. Everybody had to know everything. Because if half the crew goes down, these birds still got to fly. We got to get these missiles off.
Yeah.
So you to be qualified, when you get a certain amount of time to do it, you can't just show up there. You have to get what's called qualified, which means you got to learn every nut, every bolt. You got to know how the reactor plant works. You got to know how to launch missiles. You got to understand the tactical side of it. If half this crew dies and we got nowhere to come home to because the rest of the world has exploded,
you can survive.
We could survive, but you got to know this guy's job. You got to know this guy's job.
And then you have to start eating each other.
Yeah, I mean, we would take this. We had to have the same intellectual qualifications, and so it's going to sound kind of weird because people think, well, SEALs don't have an intellect. They actually really do. But we had to take the same physicals, and we're the SEAL and sub guys.
As the SEALs?
The SEAls and sub guys. Yeah, I mean, your scores, your qualifications. I mean, they're like right up there. You're like 1% of 1% in the Navy.
And some of that stuff is the strange stuff where you're like, just those tests where you're on the beach and you're cuffed and the waters are coming in.
Didn't do any of that.
Oh,
but we had our portion of crap that we had to pass through. Because I mean, people would mean. I'm going to say this. I don't mean any disrespect.
Yeah,
there are some professions in the civilian world where turd is the norm.
Right.
All right, and exceptional is the exception.
Yes. It's uncommon.
It's uncommon. In that world, turd was very uncommon, and you found out real fast
if you were
who the turd was.
Yeah.
And
then what do you do with the turd?
Just one day they're gone.
Yeah. You flush them.
You haze them?
Well, no.
Or slightly encourage them. Like, look, we're only as good for
you code red their ass, man.
You encourage vigorously. That's right. But eventually they wind up and they're gone.
So you could just straight up get kicked out of the military.
Well,
for not holding up your end of the bar.
They didn't kick you out of the Navy. It's just you can't do this.
Well, you're a desk jockey now.
Whatever. I don't know what they sent them to, but you can't do this.
Yeah.
And sometimes guys with psych eval out of it, because I mean, you do get some guys who kind of get through the preliminary evaluations and they show up at a submarine because they literally 99% of the time they know if you're going to be able to do this before you ever even see a submarine.
What was the hull crush depth and how close did you guys get to that?
I'm not allowed to remember.
You're not allowed to. So that's classified, really?
I legally cannot tell you.
Wow.
That's amazing. It's great to be bound by the laws of the government.
That's right. What if we redacted in the podcast?
I legally, there are certain things I legally cannot tell you.
Because in Crimson Tide, another great movie with Gene Hackman and Denzel, right?
Yeah.
I think they said in that movie it was like 1,200 feet or something like that. And it was, they came within like 50 feet and then the powers back up and they were able to get back on.
Oh my God.
I can't tell you this though.
Close call.
If they actually really made a documentary or a movie about what life is like on a Trident ballistic missile submarine, it lasts about 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, it lasts about 15 minutes.
Is it that boring or the stuff you can't talk about?
I mean, most military stuff is it's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Hurry up and wait.
It's like touring.
But when we need you, we need you.
Yeah, and then you're told this is what the mission is. depending on what you do, you're told about when you're going to deploy. You're told about where you're going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
You
the thing.
know about when you might be back.
The movies that are out there that deal in these types of scenarios, did Crimson Tide come close? Was it really? I mean, it just seemed that like all the language they were using, all that stuff.
Because they have consultants.
Completely fictional.
Really,
Yeah.
all Hollywoodized.
Completely fictional.
Really?
Yeah. It would never happen that way.
So why not the Navy band? That would seem the obvious choice and,
Dude, let me tell
and
you
less
something.
physical.
Let me tell you something. The Navy band is so competitive.
Really?
Dude, you would not believe the level of rigor it requires to be
get
a
in
part
and
to
stay
be
in.
to
How do
be
we
to
get
get
into
in
that? I
and stay
wasn't
in.
done talking about the submarines yet. Come on.
Okay.
Jeez.
Well, I just know that he can't legally say anything.
Yeah.
That's
understand
about
that.
all I can say about that. But dude, just if you ever saw them perform,
Oh yeah.
you'd understand why. I mean, it's that whole musical professional thing, but with military precision and way of life on top of it.
Yes.
So real precise, real disciplined.
Very precise, very disciplined. Yeah. You have to want to do it.
And they travel and
they
it
travel,
pays pretty well. And you got your retirement and you got a paid vacation. You got dental and
They're
medical.
sailors.
And
They're soldiers. They're sailors.
There's
Yeah.
some good.
They're Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Amazing.
it's so competitive. It's so competitive.
My dad was in the Navy. I wish I had more information,
Wow.
but I know he was on the sub.
Really?
And when I was born, 1970, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, he was on a sub in Loch Ness.
Makes sense for the time.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense for the
Locked
time.
in Scotland?
Yeah. I said, "Did you see the monster, Dad?" You know what I mean? Because I love Loch Ness. I love Bigfoot. I love Area
A
51.
submarine inside Loch Ness?
I guess so.
Really?
Did you ever ask him questions about?
And this is so embarrassing. My dad's going to be 80. So we're getting to the point where I want to record his life story.
Ask him.
I want to ask him all the questions.
Yes.
And I want to, the next time we get together, and I did ask him
What if we
some
do it on the
stuff.
podcast?
It'd be great.
We should.
There you go.
You know?
But it's going to be, I'll be publicly embarrassed about the number of things I don't know about my own parent.
Well, that's okay because I mean, after my dad passed, I found out a lot of things about him from his friends and people that knew him well.
Yeah.
That probably as a kid you shouldn't know.
Ditto. Yeah. I learned a lot of things about my dad that I didn't know until after he was gone.
Yep.
By the way, I did watch 2 episodes of F is for Family. Wow.
I know, right?
I mean, that was the 70s.
yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes.
So you've watched it too, huh?
Yeah, I've binged.
Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause there's 5
It's-
seasons.
Bill Burr.
It's awesome. Yes.
Was it
There's 5 seasons.
Laura Linney is the wife?
Yeah, and Justin Long is one of the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that's in the he's like in the band that's like yes.
Oh
He's
no,
the prog rock band.
Dude.
Justin Long is the hippie son, I believe.
But he's in a band.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like Rush.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude.
Well, I've only seen the first 2 episodes. He's not in a band yet.
Did you see the one where they get into the fight
At the table?
and they're like screaming and then they have makeup sex?
Oh no, I haven't.
You know which one I'm talking about?
I've only seen the one where he's getting the calls, the sales calls at dinner, and he's like, "I'm not going to get it. I'm not getting this phone."
Dude, I'm telling you, dude.
Where a man has to
don't
do-
spoil it for him. Don't spoil it for him, dude.
F is for family.
Yeah, F is for family.
Where a man has to do what a man does.
Amazing.
It is awesome, dude.
It's how many,
awesome.
there's only 2 seasons of it.
Yeah.
I watched it by myself.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
my wife, she's like, "What do you watch?" I'm like, "Oh, you got to check this out." And we both just dove right
I could
in.
have sworn there was 5 seasons, maybe not.
No,
It's only like 2 of them.
I think it's only a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of cartoons, we were talking off camera. What's up with that emoji T-shirt?
Watch Invader Zim and you'll know.
Invaders M.
Zim, Z-I-M, Invader Z-I-M.
And what streaming service is that on?
Well, it was on Nickelodeon for a while. Now it's in syndication. And I bought it on, I hope I can say this, on Apple TV
Sure.
because I just wanted to have it because I wanted to own it because it's so awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm not real sure where you can watch it now, but it's around. You can get it. But it's this wild thing, dude, that's created by Jonan Vasquez. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. But he Zim is an Urkin. And his entire planet are invaders. And what they do is they go around the universe and they invade planets and enforce their will on these planets, their Urkin way on these planets. Well, this particular show is about an invader who's horrible at it.
Mm-hmm.
He literally is the worst invader that you're ever going to meet. Little does he know that the leaders, who are called the almighty tallest, they're the leaders of his people because they're the tallest.
Oh.
Oh, us poor short people.
And they're identical. They're identical. It's two of them. They're identical because they're the same height. They sent him to Earth to get rid of him, but he doesn't know this.
Oh.
All right. And as bad as this sounds, he's actually trying to destroy Earth. He's the protagonist.
Really?
The antagonist is the kid who knows that he's an invader trying to take over the Earth, but nobody believes him.
It sounds like Resident Alien.
It may be a little similar to Resident Alien.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good. I mean, it's no tribal.
But I'm wearing a T-shirt that the
Primal.
character Dib.
Yes.
Dib is the antagonist who's always foiling the protagonist Zim. But this is
Foiled again!
This is that kind of facey thing that Dib wears on every episode.
What's the one you're watching? Primal?
I watched Primal on, it was adults. It was like a 5-season Adult Swim cartoon,
Okay.
but very bloody, very gory, very violent, and a great soundtrack. So I've talked about it on several episodes, but I binged it and I'll probably watch it again. It's a T-Rex and a caveman who neither one of them can speak, but they befriend each other and they travel the world on an adventure.
Wow, dude. See, that's what you want, dude. A bro thing with dude. I'm telling you.
Interspecies bro
Yes.
story. Amazing.
It's like,
Dude, speaking of Adult Swim, maybe, again, hopefully I can say this and we're okay saying this.
Totally, yeah.
Dude,
We have no sponsors.
Metalocalypse. Have you guys seen Metalocalypse?
Oh yeah, I've seen them. I've seen some of the musicians from that play live.
Really?
At the Improv on Melrose in L.A.
Talk about soundtrack. Dude,
Yeah.
Gene Hoglan, dude, that show, dude, is incredible. If you just want to watch it for the music, it's incredible. But anyway,
Metalocalypse.
yeah, Metalocalypse.
Is that on Adult Swim? Metalocalypse.
I don't think they're not. It's not on Adult Swim anymore. But again, I bought it.
Apple TV.
Apple TV, but it's out there. You can find it anywhere. But it's just this really cool show about the internal life of rock stars.
Yes.
Who and they literally are like the 8th largest economy by themselves.
Really?
On the planet. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it too much. Just watch it. It's awesome.
And then, so speaking of Gene Hoglan, do you play fast double bass? Do you like that?
I don't play fast double bass as fast as Gene does.
Who does? I mean, geez.
But yes, I dig some double bass when
Is
I
he
can get
Dave
it in there.
Lombardo fast? I never really heard Gene play.
Gene, it depends on who you ask. A lot of people would say that when it comes to that metal double bass,
Yeah.
that Gene is like the gold standard. But and I'm not saying that other guys aren't.
Right.
But Gene is also hella musical. I mean, he's just really musical. I'm not saying other guys aren't.
Right.
But yeah, he's that metal dude that just.
But you know who my metal guy was? Vinny Appice.
Yes.
Carmine's brother.
Yes.
And he wasn't a double basser. He just had a nice, strong right foot.
Yes.
And then my double bass chops come from Carmine.
Yeah.
And it's more about power than speed.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of power, but I'm more of like a slow foot. Me and like Clapton, slow hand, slow foot. We'd be this amazing band.
Yeah. That's the challenge that I've been having with the Huey thing.
Really?
Is that they want me to, like, at the end of New Drug, they want to accent all the horn blast. Bum, 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 boom, dum, bum, ba, da, 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 da. You know, they want to like kind of do back like little, snare and cymbal hits. You can do that. You can do, like what Bill does in the second part of that. You can go da, ga, ga, da, dum, da, dum, and it goes back to the groove.
Yeah.
They want it done in every single section. And you listen to some of the other drummers that they have, they're like, and I'm like,
Don't
dude,
compare yourself to that.
But
Less
I'm like,
is more always.
But that's what I was like thinking,
Are you saying you'd like to be able to do that?
I'm at the age where I'm like, I don't need to. Like once upon a time, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got to learn how to play like that. Like I watched Jelly Roll's drummer, a couple of his
Cody Ash. Yeah.
Cody Ash. Yeah. That dude is a beast.
He's fast.
He's really fast.
He is.
And, but it's all the stuff that he's doing. He's doing like, a lot of like variations between the kick and the toms and stuff like that.
Dare I say, he had some like.
You call it modern gospel chops.
It's gospel chops meets prog metal.
Okay.
Right.
And he's mixing it up.
Yeah.
He's playing with this guy named Jelly Roll. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
He's like a metal drummer that found himself a country gig.
Totally.
Well, I mean, maybe you don't care about it.
Yeah.
But, Jojo Meyer, great drummer. Love that dude to death. He's like a real drummer playing electronica.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's an incredible teacher as well.
Yes.
And his advice for guys who want to play faster is just, it's not all about just building up your chops to get to a certain speed. You literally have to learn to think faster, to play faster. And he's not saying just thought after thought after thought after thought. That's not what he means. He's saying you have to adjust your mind to the speed of what you want to do. And it can get you there fast. He's got a whole thing about it. And Jojo Meyer, I'm telling you, just as a technician, he's pretty amazing.
He is. Because when he does his samba, so like when I do a samba, it starts to pick up. Get. So I can ding, 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 ding. Right, but he's ding, 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 ding. He's got that second note in there.
Right.
So he's
He's
got this thing where he can get all four notes in there, and I have to cheat it. Where most human drummers, those
mere mortals.
Yes, it's crazy.
We all have the same musculature, though, and bone structure.
But some guys might have some sort of like
they're fast twitchers.
There's twitchers.
Yeah. They're fast twitchers. Yeah. And I guess you can build that up to a certain degree, but a lot of stuff is I mean, I hate to say it like this, but I just think there's a truth to it. Because it sounds like none of us have access to it, which is not the case. Some guys, honestly, there's a gift to it. I mean, I think a lot of musicians are really gifted, but we're all different. We're gifted differently. Even if we play the same instrument, we're gifted differently. And and if you do things a little slower, that's fine too. Yeah. Maybe you're more musical, because it's not about how much you can play or how much space you can fill up. I actually enjoy musicians, honestly, not because of the less they play, but they know what to play, where to play it, when to play it, and they're literally there, not necessarily not to be seen, but they're a servant in how they approach it.
If they're musical, like you're talking about, to your point earlier that you made, that the song is going to tell you what it needs.
Yeah, it's going to tell you what it needs.
And that's musical maturity. That's musicianship maturity to me that, even as I'm getting back into it, I've been playing since I'm 11, 12 years old, but for the longest time, and what's working against me is the fact that building up the muscle memory and the chops, going in thinking that it's simple music to play, which it is not. Mm-hmm. Like I had a guy come up to me this morning. He's like, well, that's pretty much straight head music. I'm like, dude, you think it is.
Simple stuff, dude, can be like for real challenging because simple stuff, especially if it's meant to work, it is what it is. It's simple. It stands on its own. Well, you have to handle it a little differently because it's simple. It doesn't need you to, and I'm not talking about playing less. I'm just saying it's a simplicity to it.
Well, he had made the comment. He says, well, it's not like it's, you're playing Neil Peart. I said, Neil Peart stuff, you knew it was complicated.
Right.
I said, try playing If This Is It.
Yep.
That's 6/8. That's a lot harder than you think.
But feel is, again, not being insulting towards anybody. Yeah. Feel a lot of times is something that a lot of people don't have. Mm-hmm. Feel is the kind of thing
you're definitely born with it. Well, you can develop it.
You can develop it, but it's the kind of thing that I think personally, feel is one of those things that, in some instances, you have to want it. You have to want to have great feel. I've gotten jobs before
based on your feel.
Yeah, because Gerald the guy's a great feeler.
Yeah,
he makes life easy for the rest of us. He's musical. He understands how this thing's supposed to feel. Yeah. And, without being too technical or anything like that, because I know some dudes that they don't give a crap. They don't want to talk about the technicalities of anything. I just want you to feel this thing.
I want to have to not look back at you.
I don't want to have to not look back at you.
Yes.
That's the worst feeling.
I've had MDs that were just absolute tyrants in the rehearsal room. And they would tell you, dude, you ask them, am I doing a good job? Because you want to get feedback. And they go, well, I tell you what, when people are dancing at the gig, I'll let you know if you're doing a good job.
That was the ultimate test in the 80s and 90s, playing in dance bands, wedding bands, corporate bands. How many people are on the dance floor? And how long you could keep them there.
Yep. Yeah. Can you make that shuffle bounce?
Yep. Can you make that thing dance? Can you make that shuffle dance? Yeah. So, there are a lot of different ways to evaluate things, but speed is great. But
well, it serves a purpose to a certain kind of audience.
It does. It does.
It's you listen to, like, when I came up, I listened to, Van Halen was a huge influence on me. Then it became Rush, and my playing level went up a whole lot more. And then, I got into like the heavier bands, Metallica and Anthrax was a big influence on me. But that was all thrash speed, all that kind of. And I used to play all the fast double bass stuff, but it just didn't stick, because it's like, okay, yeah.
You know what you guys have in common?
What?
Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carter.
I'm never going to sound like Carter, but just the way Carter kind of approached things to me was really freeing.
Yeah. Over here.
Yeah. But not only that, I mean, he and Dave in that band have me. I mean, the guy gets to feel over lyrics and
he's encouraged to do it.
Yeah, he gets to play the exact same set list tomorrow, but not the same way.
Yeah,
that's in the live version of Ants Marching that when I was getting into radio in the late '90s. There was a portion of it where he would play this. It was like the Huertas off the cymbal, the tom, and the snare drum.
Mm-hmm.
Over that burn. And he was keeping time. And I would sit there and listening to it going, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
And then you finally get the...
it's when he does it with the feet and the chinas that it gets...
Whoa. Right. Yeah.
Dude,
Paul Basio on it.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And then you get under the table and drumming the video set. Did you have that?
Yep, I do.
Did you have the hockey jersey?
Yes. Well, I gave it away to a kid.
Yeah.
I rocked the hockey jersey.
But I had it for years, but I gave it away.
My wife hated it.
They're not flattering.
No.
They're not.
It's a thing. Or the wetsuit that he used to wear.
Never did the wetsuit.
Yeah, he used to wear the wetsuit.
That's amazing.
He used to wear like the spandex shirt.
Amazing, man.
But it was designed for him, to him. He could get away with it, but
He
the rest
totally
of us,
got away with it.
but the rest of us had to just kind of whatever.
Yeah. I'm just going to wear the loose hockey jersey and be good with it.
If you're a founding member of a band and you have an understanding with the guy that's singing those songs and you're writing the songs together, I mean, it's like everything was lined up perfectly for him to be able to play the way he wants to play. You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
But but on it, I'm gonna rich gush a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a founding member of a band, as far as I know.
Yeah. It definitely has a band vibe, feel, energy. It's mostly democratic.
Well, but I guess what I'm saying is, and I really, really, really admire this about guys who have that situation, because I don't have that situation right now, and I haven't had it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Where you're building songs from an idea, whether somebody brings an idea to you or whatever, but from all indications from the outside with your situation, you're allowed to be rich.
Yes, I'm encouraged.
You're encouraged to be rich,
which is nice.
What you don't have to decide what rich is gonna do based on what somebody's telling you. You show up, you sit on the throne, and you're rich.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And you have bandmates around you that you know, that you respect, that you trust. They trust you. They know you. They respect you. And you get to go out and you play to 50,000 people, and you get to just be yourself.
It's never.
That's something that I'm not going to say that most of us don't have that. Maybe most of us don't have it to the level you have it.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of thing that, and I'm not saying you do, but dude, it can't be understated. It cannot be undersold how special that is.
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
If nobody else tells you,
it does not go. I do not take it lightly.
Please never take it lightly.
Yeah.
Because it's the kind of thing that, everybody has different views about what success is and what gets their engine going or whatever. For me, the perfect life, dude, honestly, would be playing in a band with guys that I like, possibly even love these dudes like brothers, making music, creating it, being honest with it, and just putting it out there and just being honest, and then have people get it.
Are there some people in your life that you have like a personal and musical connection with that you can rally the troops and do something like that, or you haven't met them yet?
There are a couple of guys. A good friend of mine, Brian Hall, lives in Dallas. Everything Brian writes to me is just awesome.
Awesome.
And again, I keep saying this word, but I can't get away from it. It's because he's so honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call their name, not because I'm speaking of a particular person, but I'm not going to call any names. I've had some experiences with guys, dude, that had problems, whether it was drugs or women or whatever the case may be. And, pain is the kind of thing for creative people, dude, that it's just something about pain that just
great stuff comes out of it.
Yeah. Especially if they're kind of, I don't want to say working from it or functioning from it, but they're being honest with the situation that they have. And then they're clean, and then they're not the same again, but that's another conversation. But yeah, there's a guy, Brian. Brian's never been that abused person, substance abuse person, but just everything he writes is just so, he's just really honest.
Yeah.
As far as a band situation is concerned, not so much. You know, I do sideman stuff. I kind of work on my own stuff. I'll put something out there every now and again because I'm not trying to be an influencer. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But let it be known publicly that you are open for business.
Man, dude,
you are waiting to find those right people and energies.
At any time, any day. Yeah, I mean, I love meeting people. I love being around people. I love creating with people. I love connecting with people. You know, and dude, like most other musicians, period, in this town, you know, I've been doing this a long time. Although I will say this, while I do love music, it is my passion. It is what I would do for nothing. I am a family man.
Yes.
And I have to be.
The travel's got to make sense.
Right. The travel's got to make sense.
The reason for traveling
got to make sense.
Yeah.
But none of that is a non-starter. I mean, but yeah, to go into new situations and meet new people, even in challenging situations, I'm not afraid of that at all. I'm kind of built for it. Like I said in my bio, dude, I am that guy who you never see, you don't know their name.
So you're behind the scenes guy.
They just get crap done.
Yes. Well, I mean, look at this. I mean, you're such a hyphy. I mean, we know you're a musician, but so we know that you're a researcher because you would reach out to me to do questionnaires and stuff for all your papers that you'd have to write, things that are interesting that you can maybe explain. Social scientist and a life coach. And then what are you speaking about nowadays?
Well, it just kind of depends. And I'm not dodging your question. It really just kind of depends. I'm co-writing a book.
Nice.
With
well, it's always nice to have somebody to help you off the ledge. And maybe they're better at certain things like footnotes and bibliography.
Well, yeah, because the way that they wanted to approach this particular idea is kind of a yin and yang kind of thing. Kind of a pros and cons kind of thing, but I'm doing that. But it's really, how should I put this? I'm not apolitical, but I don't really care about your political positioning on things. Or
I definitely don't care.
Not because I don't care about you as a person or what you think.
Yeah.
Sometimes politics gets in the way. You can't get to the root of matters because there's too much politics. Yeah. So with this particular thing that I'm doing with this particular gentleman is we're basically taking extreme leftism and extreme rightism and talking about how it's basically the same trough. They're drinking from the same trough and
extremism
and showing academically how that this is the case. So how do I speak to that? Well, I go into academic meetings where I'm invited. I go into any churches, community centers. Because believe it or not, the answers to most questions are somewhere in the middle, and the noise is always out here, always out here. But you hear it all the time. Actual real people actually want real answers, possible solutions to actual possible problems. Yeah, and so they'll seek you out, and so they want to know, based on this or based on that. We know you look into this, you look into that. What is life really about for say the average middle American? Yada yada yada. And so as a social scientist, social researcher, because this is what you do all day, you read all the time, you're looking at certain things all the time, variant as well as additive, because you have to be real well-rounded if you're going to call yourself an academic. They want to know from somebody that they feel like is informed, what is this really about? And at the end of the day, I really just try to encourage people, not just, I'm Dr. Gerald Ware and here's how it is. That's really not the
now people can call you a doctor now, right?
All the time. But it's still kind of weird to hear it. But I try.
But you don't insist on it.
No. In some professional environments, it's just apropos.
Yeah,
it's the guy. This is Dr. Ware. But I'm saying with regular, quote unquote, regular people, I try not to be that.
I think it's so cool that you're a doctor. So what was the doctorate in? What did you have to do to get it? How long did it take?
Well, PhDs have to focus in on a particular problem,
like a micro problem, like very specific. The mating habits of the East African mosquito with
because PhDs, the expectation with a PhD is you are adding new area
to that subject,
to a field, to a study, or you're building on something that's already there. And so my particular focus was race-related stress and the perception of injustice, using hegemony and critical race theory, some portions of DEI, but not because for political reasons, but just defining those things.
Yeah.
And then just kind of talking about middle America and just how much race-related stress does a person actually have, and based on that, how much does that affect their perception of injustice? Not their perception of justice so much, but their perception of injustice, because they're two different things. People, whether they know they do or not, you approach justice differently than you do injustice, even in yourself. You really do.
Wow.
So I had a real interest in that because, like I said, a lot of this comes out of how people are influenced. What do you read? Who do you talk to? What coffee shops do you frequent?
Like Jim says, marinate your mind. You're a result of what you marinate your mind in.
Yes, you are very much, a result of what you marinate your mind in. And so, again, it's about what influences
So
people.
nature, nurture.
Nurture, yeah. Whether you know it's happening, but you can be self-aware, being present with yourself and other people. I mean, I hate to talk like this sometimes because it sounds like such a...
It's a real thing.
But it's a real thing.
This is life.
But you want to be present with yourself. You want to be present with other people, and which is where the coaching comes in. Dude, I do everything from Enneagram stuff. I have no license to that, but Enneagram stuff to behavioral modification, but not from a psychosis or anything like that perspective. I'll use stuff like CrossFit, things like that, because I'll have dudes who will ask me, Gerald, you seem like you're pretty pulled together dude. How do you do this? How do you get from point A to B with this or with that? I actually have some clients that if I call their name, you would know who they were, which I'm not going to do. But
Jim always goes there. But you train them physically.
No, but not so much in the gym with them. Yeah. It's just about a lot of it's just about accountability.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on the couch, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. I really feel like if I was more physical, not necessarily saying I got to go out and I got to bench press 300 pounds, but if I was just more physical in how I live my life, I think things would be a lot better. They don't realize they're already onto something. Dopamine. I mean, just all the stuff your body will do for you if you point your body in the right direction, your mind in the right direction.
At the very minimum, getting like maybe 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah, and if you don't feel like you can do that, honestly, give me
20 minutes.
Give me 15 minutes just throughout the day, not all at one time. Get off the couch.
Air squats.
Give me 15 air squats. Do that for me 3 times a day.
Yep.
Let me know you did it. Have accountability with me, and then we'll talk about some specific goals that you want to hit.
Yeah.
Whether it's your career, whether it's relational. Because believe it or not, man, I mean, as quote unquote, as connected as we are, people are extremely disconnected.
Oh, totally.
Because of this mind melting device.
Dude, I said all of this. Yep. This is the world in your hand, but it is absolutely
it's
the kind
also
of thing that
Satan.
Yes, it is the worst possible.
Where you guys ready to have your minds blown?
Please blow my mind.
Look at the symbiology or symbology. I can't get
Symbiology.
The damn case off.
Jimmy, is that a new case with
that case is not meant to come off?
Apparently it's not meant to. It's supposed to come right off. But
I got it. I cracked my iPhone. I got to get another one, and you know what that is? It's half a day at the Apple store.
Yes, with an appointment.
What do you have? AT&T?
Yeah,
I can connect you with a guy. He'll have it.
Oh, thanks, buddy. See, Jim's got a guy.
Jim's got a guy.
I always have
a guy for that. Yeah.
So if you look at the back of any iPhone, what's on there?
An apple. And
what about the apple?
It's a mirror.
No, what about the apple?
It's got a bite taken out of it.
It's got a bite taken out of it. Interesting. What happened in the Garden of Eden?
I see where you're going. I see what you're doing.
So you're saying when they created that logo, there was something... Jim, expand,
There's something
please.
sinister here.
It's kind of
very sinister.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
It's right in front of you. It's right in front of you.
Little bit. They put a lot of symbology.
If you're willing to see, it's right in front of you.
Symbolism.
Symbolism's right in front of you every single day.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
What the agendas get. You never thought about that, right?
Yeah. Now I got to throw this thing out the window on my way home.
Well, and the fact is, it's just it's listening, it's spying, it's
doing all that.
We have created a monster.
We have, and I don't know if we're sure or know where it's going. Dude, I could go off on this tangent all day long. I don't want to do it, but I know people.
51.
I know people need jobs. I know people are hurting right now. AI is a big thing.
I don't like it.
Well, because I'm thinking like this: the average person, dude, who is a hands-on blue collar dude, you make things, or you provide
With your hands.
with your hands, or you provide a physical service. So if you take that away and people aren't able or don't have the capacity to do that anymore, they're not all going to turn into Picassos or Leonardo da Vinci's or go split an atom. Right. What the heck are they going to do with their time? What are they going to do with their time?
Idle time is the devil's playground.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people when they have, I'm not saying everybody's going to go deviant or anything like that, but I'm just saying I think these questions need to be asked. You know, what socially, you just can't create that gap and not have something to. And it's not just a matter of giving things away or giving money. It's a real question. When you have time on your hands, because I ask people this all the time professionally, when you have time on your hands and you're not doing this, you're not doing that, tell me what you're doing. Because it's a large indicator to what motivates them, what drives them. When you don't have to do this, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you spending that time?
Right.
And if you go, I'm on the couch and I'm just, or I'm griping at my wife because she hadn't done this or hadn't done that. Well, does your wife tell you she likes it better when you're out of the house? It might be more than just a tweak away from. There's probably something going on with you.
Yeah.
That we need to take a look at.
But ChatGPT, I see the power in it. I mean, Jim and I even use AI technology. We use a program called Otter.
Yeah.
I don't even have to do show notes anymore. It does it for us. I like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But God, where do we draw the line?
I think you have to draw your own line, honestly.
Didn't they say the same thing about the drum machine when it came out?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to replace all the drummers.
That 909, that SR16, that Lynn.
I think it'll make people long for humanness in all the things. Whenever there's an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Right.
I think ultimately that will start to persist, even in music. I mean, music has become very production-based, robotic. Everything's got to be on the grid. There's no humanity in it, and there's no vacillation in tempos or feels or anything like that. I've been actually trying to, just so I can get a feel for the click track for the Huey Band, May 28th at the City Winery in Nashville.
Yep.
HueyTribute.com for tickets.
He's a homosexual.
He's lining up all the different, just the old songs and stuff like that. They're all over the map on those songs.
Yep.
They were not playing to a
never
click.
Noticed it.
No.
It just had a great message. It felt great. It was produced right.
It sped up at the right places, picked up energy, it slowed down.
You would never say anything weird about Bonham.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hot for Teachers all over the map.
It's just not, it's not an algorithm.
But I think ultimately that's gonna come back around.
You
it
think
has
so?
to. Oh yeah.
That's very optimistic, Jim.
I tend to be optimistic because of the book I pointed out before, Pendulum.
Yeah,
These things happen in cycles.
Happen in cycles.
Yeah.
80-year cycles typically.
Yeah. Well, and I can agree with that. I mean, I asked the question, what are these people going to do with all their time? But I agree. I mean, I think we have enough evidence, empirical evidence now to where it's shown that things do swing. Things happen in cycles. So, and you can see that even with technology, my youngest kid, she's 18 and she's getting ready to graduate from high school.
Yeah.
Though this thing, this silicone glass thing,
device that's made by children in a sweatshop.
Even though they all have a relationship with that thing that's probably not completely healthy, they still have times when they just want to be together physically.
Yes.
See, Gary Vaynerchuk would challenge you on that. You know Gary V?
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
He's like a business thought leader kind of guy.
Okay, now, I know exactly.
Book, Crush It.
Yes, yeah.
Are these not unlike radio, television, the advent of video games? All parents were always worried about this. The video games kind of, rotting our mind. He's always in front of those video games.
Space Invaders.
Yeah. So it's like, and we still survived that.
Yeah. But I do think that there's something to it. I mean, when we grew up, you had access to TV, you had access to these things, but you couldn't just pull it out of your pocket. Right. There were things that you had to do even sometimes, I don't know how anybody else worked, but with my parents in my house, there were things you had to do to have the privilege to watch the TV at this time or to do this or to do that. And I'm not saying that some kids don't still have that, but I'm saying the access to it was not what it is today. So there is something to what he's saying, and I think it's all about the access to it. I mean, literally, my daughter and I were talking about this yesterday because she's going to do a senior speech on Friday, where she's going to address the school. They have this thing at her school to where the seniors can elect to do what they call a senior speech, and they get 5 minutes just to talk about whatever they want to talk about.
Right.
And so she's going to talk about just the difference in how her parents experience life and how kids experience life now, and a lot of it is really about just kind of access and controlling the access to certain things. There's something to be said for you can pull access to the entire world right out of your back pocket.
And most of it's going to be not true.
Right.
Which has been our longing desire since probably the birth of humanity is finding out what truth is.
Wow.
You even go back to the time of Christ when he stood in front of Pontius Pilate. And he's, Pontius Pilate's wondering what to do with him. I'm up against the wall. I got to appease your people. I got to appease, my emperor and stuff like that. I don't know what to do. I'm in a typical catch-22 situation. And he just sits there. He says, "Why? What are you doing here?"
Does Jim always talk like this?
Jim's heavy, man. Yeah.
Does Jim always contextualize like this? Does he realize he's contextualizing right now?
He's deeper than the average drummer, and so are you. My God.
Wow.
So he's sitting there, and what does he say? Jesus says, "I've come to bear witness to the truth."
Wow.
And then Pontius Pilate says, "What is truth?" But I think there's a little nuance in there that if you had to act that out, I think Pilate said, "What is truth?"
Yeah.
I think he probably said it like that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
He's got a guy right in front of him that claims to be the Son of God saying, I came to bear witness to the truth.
Wow.
And they were still trying to figure out what truth was back then.
You got the right guy here, Rich.
I'm telling you what,
You got the right guy here.
Thank you. So I can be smart sometimes.
He's an amazing co-host. But yeah, we've been and producer and drummer. We've been talking about, truth, honesty. You admire honest musicians, actors, comedian, truth.
This is going to be the deepest Rich Redmond show.
I'm telling you,
it's going to be the least listened to.
Hey, so would you want
truthful drumming?
People to what's the best way for people to find you?
They can find me on Instagram.
Okay,
yeah, that's probably the best place to find me.
And then what's the handle? It's just at your name.
I don't have it memorized. What you can do is, you can literally search me. On Instagram and you'll find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't miss you, man.
Or LinkedIn, or Facebook.
Has LinkedIn been more fruitful for someone like you who has a doctorate, who's swimming in other areas other than music, because it's not super music friendly?
Well, here's the thing about LinkedIn. I don't do anything creative wise with LinkedIn because LinkedIn, I don't think it was really meant to work that way.
No. I do it anyways. I force it.
Well, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to say was, nowadays, when it comes to professional connections, that's what LinkedIn was basically established to be, professional connection. Now, I can't say what professionals it was supposed to be for, but it essentially was for people to make professional connections.
Do you do the pro version where you pay for it?
From time to time.
Yeah.
It just depends on if I'm trying to.
I've never done that.
Well, if I'm trying to reach a certain audience, or if I'm trying to maybe promote something that I'm putting out specifically, then I'll do that. But I don't pay all the time because it's not really necessary.
I was thinking maybe, Jim, I don't know if you do the paid version of LinkedIn where you have access to more people. Mm-hmm. And I forget what the cost is, but maybe that would be a linchpin for me to move my speaking a little bit more in a forward direction. I've never known, how much is it?
You can always try it. That's like $35, $40 a month.
Something like that. Yeah.
$35 a month?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And but you're going to get returns.
Yeah.
A guy like me, $35, $40 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But for you, Mr. Moneybags.
That's right.
Did you see my Honda CRV out front?
Well, but
that's why you're Mr. Moneybags.
That's why you're Mr. Moneybags. Right. Yeah.
So I love all this, man. Musician, consultant, social scientist. That's heavy, man. So everybody check out Gerald on the socials. Look him up on Instagram. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
Okay, I'm not even going to make a comment about that because for 10 episodes, we've had everyone say that their favorite color is blue, and Jim goes, well, there's only about like 6 major colors.
I know.
Yeah. So what about favorite food or dish?
Of the moment.
Of the moment?
Well, I guess it could be like a legacy thing that it's always a go-to, but we've all got those meals that are of the moment favorites, right?
Any soup
Really?
Any
Interesting.
soup.
Oh, you and Jay Leno would not be able to have lunch because he
That's okay.
hates soup.
That's okay.
So like cream based, like
Any soup.
clam chowder.
Bisque, roux based,
Nice.
broth based.
There's nothing better than
soup.
chicken noodle when you're sick.
You ever have, when was the last time you had really good New England clam chowder?
Long time.
It's been a long time.
It's been for me. It was about a year ago. We
You
were in
put
New
those
York
oyster
City.
crackers in
We
there.
were in Grand Central Terminal.
Really?
And it was a seafood place that was in one of the, the food area. And I'm like, let's try it out. So Courtney got like a lobster bisque and a lobster roll. And I got New England. I'm like, this is just.
In Grand Central Station?
Grand Central Station. Right.
And it's right next to the bathroom, and the guy walks out with the toilet paper attached to the bottom of his shoe. How about your favorite drink?
I love a Long Island iced tea. Good, stiff Long Island iced tea. A close second, though. A close second is a Blanton's neat.
Oh, like a blended whiskey, like a
No,
Crown.
Blanton's.
Oh, Blanton's.
Blanton's bourbon.
Oh, nice.
Neat.
You like cigars? Cigars? From time to time, you'll do it if somebody has a baby or graduates.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Jim and I like the cigars. We have an amazing cigar shop here. It's about to celebrate. They're going to have an anniversary in 2 weeks or a week or so. It's going to be
A week and a half. Roughly.
April 4th at the Mission Cigar
April
Lounge.
4th or the 5th? Saturday, right?
It's a Saturday. I think it's the 4th.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't dislike them, but I try to keep them to a minimum.
Yeah. Well, that's smart.
because I notice if I pound like 3 cigars in a row, I don't run so well. Then
Three cigars in a row. I mean, it's like a dwarf crapped in your mouth.
Yeah.
God.
I don't. And I'll have a really good one.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to.
It's like Fresh Step litter in your mouth for a week. Horrible.
But when you're drinking bourbon, you don't really know how many cigars you've had.
Yes.
Courtney and I had a cigar yesterday.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy the afternoon, my wife and I.
Wow.
And we have this wine that we got when we went to Paso Robles.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, why don't you crack open one of the bottles of wine? We save them for special occasions because otherwise we drink box wine. And I'm like, but we're drinking this good wine with cigars. She's like, who cares? I'm like, all right. I actually really complimented the cigar.
No, that's
It was
great.
nice.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I forget what is, there's a lot of liquors in a Long Island iced tea, and it's not as common of a drink order, but I remember in the 80s in college, you'd get a pitcher of Long Island iced tea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, a lot of times I run into bartenders and they go, well, I can't really make that.
Oh, legally anymore?
No, they just don't.
Oh.
You don't know how?
No. So I go, you have this thing in your back pocket. All you got to do is pull it up and type in Long Island iced tea.
First of all, they shouldn't get the job if they don't know how to do that.
Nowadays, I guess it's just.
So it's rum, it's...
I forget what's in it, but there are quite a few liqueurs in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's flavored with this iced tea.
Long
lemony.
Island.
Yeah, but a really, really stiff Long Island iced tea
On a hot day, too.
on a
Be
hot
good.
day is really good.
You ever have a Lynchburg lemonade?
I've never had a Lynchburg lemonade.
Oh, it's good.
Spiked lemonade?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking a little bit off camera. Favorite drummer? I know you got Carter. I know you got JoJo. I know you got... You said
McCarthy.
Joel Smith.
Joel Smith was a gospel guy that goes back to like San Francisco, the Bay Area.
Yeah.
He's probably, if you're a drummer, you know him more as a drummer. If you're a bass player, you know him more as a bass player because he was equally as good with both.
Oh, okay.
But he just so he was that guy.
I think Gordon Campbell mentioned him as an influence.
Probably because he was that guy. I mean, gospel guy, but he came along with a church situation, band situation. The Hawkins family.
Yes.
Joel.
That's him.
Yeah. And they, like gospel music, they changed the way it sounded.
Yeah.
And just those guys in the right place at the right time, just being honest. And
There's the honesty,
Joel was the drummer. And later on, Joel became a bass player, but some other guys came out of the situation, Kevin Bond, Jeremy Haynes. Jeremy Haynes was, I don't know if I would call him a protege to Joel. But
Gordon Campbell did mention him. He's like, hey, man, he was the guy kind of early on responsible for this gospel chop. It wasn't named yet.
Right. Well,
but it was happening.
Well, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to mention Jeremy Haynes because he's also one of my favorite drummers. Jeremy was a protege of Joel. Jeremy, to me, is probably more so. It's going a little to the left, but Jeremy is probably more so than Joel. The way gospel music is played from the drums, the way it's played from the drums, but that's a little misleading because of the way gospel music is played now.
Yeah.
Jeremy was that dude. He doesn't sound like Dave Weckl, but he, I mean, just that taste, attention to tones, incredible technique, and just could just music you to death. Jeremy is one of those dudes that, and I think this is hard for a lot of dudes. I could be wrong, but I think it's hard for a lot of dudes. Jeremy's that guy, as well as he plays, it's what he doesn't play.
There you go. Yeah.
that just takes him, to me.
Dun dun dun.
It just puts him in the upper stratosphere of drummers. I'm not gonna call any names, but I know there are gospel guys now that are trying to sound like Jeremy Haynes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jim, ask your question.
So if you had to, for the rest of your life, play in a tribute band, and that's the only thing you could do, what band would it be? You can't do anything else for the rest of your life. Same songs over and over again.
Is it Dave Matthews?
No. You guys are heavy. You probably won't have to Google this. There's an album called Facets. It's by a guy by the name Doc Severinsen.
There you go.
Plays trumpet. Incredible band.
So for the silly people out there, he was the band leader of Tonight Show for around 30
for
years.
a long time.
Yeah.
But he also did projects on the side. If I had to play Facets every night, I could play Facets every night.
Well,
Now-
you narrowed it down to the album. I just said
Is
yes.
Facets, is it Sping Spang a Lang Big Bang or is it Fusion Big Bang?
No,
Big Band.
it is super tasteful. Steve Gadd.
Who's on it? Is it Ed Shaughnessy?
Who's not on it? I mean, Doc's is the band leader. Of course, he's leading. He's playing trumpet. But guys like Steve Gadd. I mean, just everybody who's like Steve Gadd-esque, from bass player to keys. I mean, I wish I could run down all the notes for you, but it's it's Facets.
Facets.
Nice. Facet by Doc Severinsen.
Well, now
Facets.
that was the most interesting answer we've ever received.
I could play that record every
That's
night
true.
and would never have a problem.
Amazing.
Wow.
Awesome.
I could play that set with those guys in that band at every show,
That's
every
awesome.
night.
Back in the day, you just dropped the needle with the headphones. Play along.
That was my first experience with it.
Hey, what's your gear? What's your company's? Do you mix and match things or?
Well, am I allowed to say?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am primarily a Pearl guy.
Okay, well, right. Yeah, they're right. They're here.
Oh,
And
you can't say that.
Well, as far as the series, I kind of mix and match things. I like their Birch Toms. I like their Nashville,
What, the Music City.
the Music City kick.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just, I love Gibraltar hardware.
Gibraltar, yeah.
I use Pearl cymbals, a variety of different series of Pearl cymbals. I have some Meinl, I have some
Pearl
Sabian.
cymbals?
No,
Oh, sorry.
Zildjian. I have some
sorry.
Zildjian,
Yeah.
some Meinl, some Sabian.
Yeah.
I'm primarily a, I can't say primarily, but I use a few different sticks. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
Vic Firth.
Remo or Evans?
Neither.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Aquarian.
No.
Attack.
No. There's only one really left.
What else is there? See.
Cling wrap.
No.
Remo, Evans, Aquarian,
I do use Evans heads.
Attack. What the hell is
Think
there?
about it. That's one more.
Jim, what other heads are there?
I know the big two.
Attack.
Evans,
Well, no, I
yeah.
thought we were talking about drumsticks.
Oh, heads. Heads.
Yeah,
heads, drum heads. Evans heads.
I use Evans heads.
Okay.
Depends on what I'm playing. G1, G2.
Yeah.
Rezos.
So stick Pro Mark,
Nope.
Vader.
Yep.
Nice.
I love their ADs. I love their 7As. Yeah.
The other one that's the Los Angeles is nice.
It is. Yeah, it is nice. They have a studio version. I mean, it's just I don't know. It just worked for me.
I like that you mix and match. That's so fun.
I mean, because you have to do what the gig needs you to do.
yeah.
And I am a tone guy. Not saying that it drives everything, but tone is really important to me as far as authenticity of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You just never know what somebody's going to need. And you play to the music. You play to the song.
Yeah.
And you got to speak the language of speaking.
Rich was nice enough to give me one of his kits a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I load Jim up with gear, here and there, because he puts in so much sweat equity into this
Plus,
show.
I'm always at it. I'm like, you going to use this?
It's an ask and you shall receive thing, because Jim he's fearless. He'll be like, I haven't seen you use that in a while.
To be fair, out of your 60 some odd drum kits
here's some 15-inch hi-hats, man. Go for it. Go for it, bro.
I've only got another 50 pairs of these.
Dude, I would be the same way.
Yeah.
I would be the same way. I mean, if I could afford DW drums, I don't know if I would go over to DW drum, but if I could afford DW, the collectors,
Yeah.
man.
They're all the series, even for me, the performance series, it's half the price. It's got a lot of attack. It's great.
Do you find them difficult to tune? Because, I mean, you have the true pitch. The true pitch.
I know it's on your mind.
Tuning.
No, they're
lugs,
they're
right?
very easy to tune.
Are they?
And Jules Thomas, the educational director, she showed me she does a little finger rim shot. She'll go bing, 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 bing.
Just to make sure everything's
Yeah,
dialed
she'll
in.
do a little rim shot on each. It's kind of, you can kind of spin it, and John Good makes this thing that you turn. You put the drum on it. It's easy to turn. Like Johnny's
Like
got
a lazy
one.
Susan.
Yeah, it's like a lazy Susan for
but
drummers.
I had a set of DWs once upon a time. That 13-inch tom was a bear.
13s are tough.
Yeah,
man.
is it?
yeah, 13s are just.
But it's always the one underneath the ride cymbal.
But what's even worse is the 50.
Yeah, those
15,
odd
really?
dimensions are just always.
always the odd numbers.
I like 12, 16, 18, or 13, 16, 18. But DW 13s, they're not usually a problem. I mean, sometimes something will, very rarely.
Yeah, it's tough to have the 10 and the 12 racks in front of you.
Yeah.
Like the 10's a little too small.
Yeah.
You're going to have a little bit bigger, like a 12, and then the next obvious is a 13.
10, 12, 13, 16, 18. That
What
would
if
be
it's
a nice.
What if 12, 14, 16? Would that be too big?
I don't like a 14-inch floor tom.
Neither do I.
I have one. Occasionally it gets into the setup.
Yeah.
Occasionally it does.
14 inch is good for the
It's
left
usually
side.
a little bit more fusion.
And I play it on the left side.
Yeah.
It'll
Like
be-
I would want one on the left side.
Nice, so you can go.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of the Huey
Yeah.
stuff, it's doom, doom, and he's hitting the snare and the tom at the same time.
Yeah,
Which is an
it's
old
on there.
the old
Yeah.
Motown trick.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be on the left. But I dimension drums. I mean, maybe it's the interval. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just my ear.
Yeah.
Just
Dialing in a 10 or a 12 is like, and then, the rest of them, it's like, it's
Jim,
awful.
you are so
it
funny.
doesn't know what it wants to be.
Right.
You know what's so funny? We've got
It's so frustrating.
3 very simpatico minds right here, and it's so amazing to catch up with you in this public forum. And I'm so glad you're doing great. Yeah. I'm so glad I met you.
Dude,
And
13 years.
Do not fear. Look up Gerald Ware.
So
That's right.
Facebook,
I tried to make
Instagram, LinkedIn.
I friended you. I found you on Insta. So
Yeah, there you go.
Sent you a friend request.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you for your time and talent as always, buddy.
Thank you. Likewise.
Everybody go see Jim play the City Winery.
That's gonna
May
be awesome.
28th.
That's right.
That's going to be awesome.
And to all the listeners, we sure appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review. It helps people find the show. Spread the word. We're doing this. We keep showing up, Jim.
I know.
It's a lot. It's so fun. There's so many drummers.
That's right.
So we'll never be short of
We got
guests.
merch. Hopefully at some
Hopefully
point.
by the time this episode comes out,
Wow.
this is about 7 weeks from now, this will come out. We will have hoodies, coffee mugs, shirts, the mouse pads, the whole thing.
Drum kits.
We better get back to the merch lady and tell her that we love everything she has.
Am I wrong for asking for my bag of swag?
Jim's
Sure. As soon as we get one together, we will get it to you.
You're gonna get
I'm
one.
completely joking.
Totally.
Dude. Okay, this has been a blast.
I've got some T-shirts over there.
Oh, you might. If you have a hoodie that it's big enough for his muscles,
I do.
that might be the thing.
I can get one. That's
All right.
There's no need though.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Gerald.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jim.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.